Okay, I think we're ready to go now. Took about a day. I had to bring in a shaman here, burn a whole bunch of sage, and I think we're ready to go. Hi there, welcome to another installment of Triple J Thoughts, where I take a look at primarily films, but also plays, musicals, operas, anything that really speaks to me. And here I'm reviewing the movie Doctor Sleep, which actually premiered around November 2019, but I was able to finally watch it while I'm here. And it is a direct, I guess you could say, sequel to the movie The Shining for both the book and the film. So let's take a look. So this movie was directed by Mike Flanagan, who also directed horror flicks such as Oculus and Gerald's Game. It stars an older Danny Torrance from the books slash film through Ewan McGregor, and also stars the antagonist Rose the Hat by Rebecca Ferguson, whom I remember from the Mission Impossible series. Even though it was a smaller role, it was nice to see Bruce Greenwood, whom I remember from the recent Star Trek films. And even a smaller role, but it took me a while to recognize him, was Jacob Tremblay, known for, of course, The Room.
True, it's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
No, not that. Room with Brie Larson, and recently The Good Boys, which was actually quite funny. Our other protagonist is a young Abra, a teenage girl with powers, played by Kylie Curran, who did a fantastic job for the character she had to bring forth on the screen. So this movie is a direct sequel to the actual film and book The Shining by Stephen King, and the film directed by Stanley Kubrick. It now stars an adult Danny, now Dan, who has to put his past behind him after the horrors of the Overlook Hotel, and still suffering from those ghosts that haunt him through the connection of his powers. He comes across a young teenage girl who has similar, if not stronger, powers than him, who is under attack by the evil antagonist, Rose the Hat. So the conclusions I have of this movie is it was actually quite good for something of a sequel. The Shining is actually one of my top favorite films of all time, as for most cinephiles, and it's because of the attention to detail and the slow burn of the creep factor. And I think that Flanagan kind of mimicked that. It's a 2.5 hour long flick, and I found, especially in the beginning, they had that kind of slow pace, kind of building up into where Danny is now. And at first, I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of boring. But then I remembered, I kind of retorted back to the watching Kubrick's, and it has that slow burn, and you start to unravel all the pieces and mysteries that revolve around Danny. Some of the poignant parts that I took away from it was the connection that Danny had to Abra, and because they had to formulate almost this kind of uncle niece bond, where they share obviously the same similar powers. Obviously, I'm not going to give any spoilers away for anybody who wants to watch it, but I found it was really neat because there's this weird kind of dryness between the two of them that at first it was for me a bit daunting, but then you kind of warmed up to it as time progressed. The other element that I took away as well is obviously Flanagan wanted to adhere to the paying respects to the film The Shining by Kubrick, and also for the Stephen King novel, where you take elements of Danny's past, so when he was with the Overlook Hotel, which if you do watch The Shining. And actually, if you do decide to watch the movie, yes, you must. I would say at least watch The Shining, or if you can, read the the Stephen King book. But you have to actually take into consideration that that builds on this mythology, and he did a good. He obviously used modern actors to play, for instance, even the Jack Nicholson character, and she did a good job actually. I mean, it's hard to kind of get a complete, total, exact look alike, but it still had that atmosphere. It still had that flavor of it. And I was reading some articles, and some people didn't like the whole, it kind of took you out of the way of the movie when you went back to the Overlook Hotel. But I actually kind of enjoyed it in terms of building to that mythology and to that connection for the audience. I would say for myself, stand-up performances was definitely Ian McGregor playing this kind of person dealing with his own inner demons as Danny with these still powers and where he is in his life. And, you could tell the power of that kind of actor. As well, Rebecca Ferguson playing a very convincing antagonist, which the best antagonist for myself is ones that believe that they are right and they're very convinced in what they're doing is right. And she played that really well and owned the screen every time she was on. And the other standout for me is the newcomer, Miss Abra, or played by Kylie Curran. I felt she invoked a good sense of this growth from this childlike innocence of discovering her powers, even having fun with them, to the maturity she needed to build through as the movie progressed. I found that very compelling, and it was a good stand-up performance from her. So in conclusion, would I recommend this movie? Yes. If you're a big fan, like myself, of The Shining, it's a very compelling conclusion to not only to the actual novel, which I haven't read, which is Doctor Sleep, but also to the Kubrick, The Shining. So it gives a nice little wrap-up conclusion to, and maybe it might expand, who knows, depending. It was a very, very good film for tackling on those tough subjects in terms of horror and whatnot. Okay, thank you for taking the time to watch and listen to my impressions on the movie Doctor Sleep. Again, overall, it's a very good film. I really enjoyed it. It's a good sense of nostalgia and harkening back to the movie The Shining and also the book and obviously the conclusion book from Stephen King, Doctor Sleep itself. So thank you again, and please like and subscribe and write comments. I love to get criticisms and see how I can improve and get better. And just in general, if you've seen the movie yourself, overall impressions for how you felt it was. And that'd be great. Yeah, so I'm going to try and make this, again, a regular thing. It's kind of like a Tuesday, Wednesday drop that I try and do. And on top of that, maybe a weekend one. What I want to try and do is maybe if I'm watching a Netflix series, I would try and talk about that as well, or something again. So I'm going to try to broaden my horizons when I'm doing these films or these reviews, and take it from there. So again, thank you again. Like and subscribe, and have a good day.